YLEEvent.com Coaches Show is presented to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you and yours. And this week, before we get to Santa coming to town on the YLEEvent.com Coaches Show, we'll be joined by Mayport CG girls basketball coach Keenan Konschak here as the Patriots are off to a 6-0 start in the B division here this season in North Dakota. Then we'll jump into AA with our senior spotlight as Ashton Safranski from Fargo Davies girls basketball talks about her commitment to Minnesota State University Moorhead. Then Tim Brandt of West Fargo Sheyenne and Travis Hoeg of Fargo North, both boys basketball coaches, will talk about their early season success so far on the hard court, and we'll be joined by Duane Connell. We'll wrap up our conversation this week from Hillsboro-Central Valley girls basketball. But first up, let's get into our conversation with Mayport CG girls basketball coach Keenan Konschak, who sat down with our own James Martins.
On the YLEEvent Coaches Show, talking with Mayport CG head girls basketball coach Keenan Konschak. Keenan, first of all, welcome to the show and happy holidays.
Hey, thanks for having me, James. It's great to be here. Coming up to Christmas time, we're kind of off a little bit. We don't have some games till after break, but we'll get some good practices in and we'll be ready to go.
Well, I tell you what, it's a good time to catch up, and your team's off to a fantastic start, 6-0, no match within 20 points, and so it seems like your ladies have found a lot of ways to win a lot of games. Your thoughts on the reasons for that success?
Yeah, so these girls, I could tell in the volleyball season, if you guys knew about that, they wound up runner-up this year in the state Class B the state Class B volleyball tournament. So they're using kind of that momentum going into the same thing. I noticed how fast and how athletic they were playing, and I could tell a difference from our basketball team from last year even too. So senior-led group, obviously that's huge. All right, a little bit bigger, stronger, faster than our opponents so far in this early seaseason. Like you said, we're 6-0 to start off. And we've been playing some really good, unselfish team basketball, which is the reason why we're having success right now. So
I think that word unselfish is not to cut you off there, Keenan, but I think the word unselfish there is the key word. It's a key word in any sport, and I kind of refer to their volleyball team, Mayport CG, as the Mayport CG machine, if you will, because they just seem to work in rhythm with each other, and it sounds like that translated over to the basketball floor.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right on that. It's like they're a step ahead, right? They're a step ahead. They can anticipate things now with another year of experience. So last year was my first year, so they're just getting used to the system that we work, and they've really worked hard in the summer over it. And then to start this season, we're doing so many different things now. We could switch up our game plan if we need to. It's with the athletes we have, it's easy to coach. I'll just put it that way.
What do you think the ladies have learned most over the first 6 games of the regular season?
So one of the big focuses for us is we have goals for the season, right? They want to make sure they're accomplishing their goals. And like you said, with the unselfish basketball, we do have Riley Satcham, who's averaging over 20 a game, but she's also averaging over 5 assists a game too. All right. So she really does a great job of creating, and her teammates do a great job of finding her when she's open too. So, but without Riley, we still have 4, 5, 6 other girls that could score 20 a night for us. All right. If that's what the game plan called for, if that's what the opponents were giving us, then I think we have some weapons on all parts of our game. So that's been big for us so far in this early season.
And when you look at the score lines, you look at the 6-0 start and the margins of victory, you think these girls have figured it all out. But of course, as a coach, you know there's still things to work on. There's still things to improve on. What's maybe, if anything, missing from these ladies that could take them from a really good team to an even better team?
Yeah, so the biggest concern we have as coaches is to make sure we're getting those competitive games. All right, so when we do have a competitive game, how are we gonna react to that? What are we gonna do if the cards are stacked against us, if we get in foul trouble or injuries? For injuries, it's always next girl up. We got some girls on the bench that would step up in that case. But again, if we faced some presses early this year. We've faced multiple different defenses, and they've all reacted pretty well. All right, pretty slow starting if it's the first time we see it. So that would be one concern. We got to make sure we're ready for it. Ready for anything. And these girls know that too. But a big concern is turnovers. I think we've had a few too many turnovers, but you take those turnovers if they're trying to make plays, right? So most of those turnovers aren't sloppy turnovers. Most of them are they're trying to make a play and they're just trying a little bit too much. So that'd be maybe one concern. We've been doing a great job on rebounding this year, but obviously that's going to be big down the stretch too, in the playoff run. So there's always things we need to work on, tighten up a few things here or there on our offensive sets. All right, and make sure they're remembering what those sets are, what the purpose is and why we do those. So there's always little things that we can continue to work on.
Keenan, let's look ahead to the schedule you have. You're hoping for some more competitive games. You're going to get some more competitive games with some Class A Region 2 opponents, Hillsboro-Central Valley, Grafton, Thompson, and you close out the season at Carrington. Those are all on the schedule in the new year. Your thoughts on those matchups and the rest of the schedule you have for the regular season?
Yeah, so being brand new to the 3-class system this year, it's been interesting. Our AD in Mayport, Adam Soul, did a great job of putting together the schedule. All right. Our schedule last year was amazing because we could pretty much play anyone, but there's a few teams that decided not to play us this year. Some Class A schools that are down south that decided not to play us. We wish we could have got them on the schedule, but we decided to go with some possible Region 2 opponents. They're not in our district. All right. So we went with some Region 2 opponents, and so that gives us kind of idea what we might face in a regional tournament. But we haven't had a district game yet, which is crazy. Like all these games are just basically exhibition games until we get those district games coming up. But like you said, those Class A schools that did agree to play us this year, it's big. We want to get some good competitive games against those squads. Thompson being one of them, which is the number 1 team in Class A basketball right now too. And we had some pretty good battles with them last year as well. So we want to make sure that we're ready to go in those games, and that should give us a good kind of a good scale of see where we're at as far as a team as well.
And Keenan, we kind of alluded to it earlier about what may be missing from the team, but as it is the holiday season, I always love to ask coaches this question in the festive nature that it is. If you could give your team a gift, if you could, if there's a basketball, Mayport CG girls basketball tree in the lobby at Mayport CG, and you could place a gift under the tree for your ladies to help them maybe even get all the way to the state tournament and have a great state tournament, what would that gift be?
Probably the gift of immortality, not getting injured, right? So no Achilles, no knee injuries, no sprained ankles. We've had some sickness early in the season too, and that takes away from practice time and stuff like that too. So I would say the biggest gift would be able to stay healthy with these girls, because they are fun to watch when they are healthy and they're moving the basketball, and the speed of the game is very much our advantage. So we don't want to slow that down.
I tell you what, Coach, an impressive start. I look forward to seeing how your ladies do the rest of the regular season. Anything else you want to mention to our viewers on the Coaches Show?
Like I said, we just have great support from the Mayport fans, the great support from the Mayport administration, the teachers, the families have been great supporting our games this year. So we want to hopefully continue that going into the second half of the year. And my assistant coach too, she's been doing a great job on the scouts, all right, helping that JV team and the C squad teams get going. So it's been a great run so far. So hopefully that can continue.
That's the head coach for Mayport CG girls basketball, Keenan Konschak, joining us on the Your Live Event Coaches Show. Check out the rest of their schedule, and we may have a couple of their games before the end of the year on yourliveevent.com, at least end of the regular season. Keenan, thanks for the time, and happy holidays.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me, and enjoy having you guys be part of our program too. Thanks for covering us.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsboro, North Dakota. The Hillsboro Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
Joining us now from Fargo Davies for our senior spotlight, she is Ashton Safranski, as she is committed to the MSUM Dragons, coming up to play collegiate basketball as well next year. Ashton, before we talk about Fargo Davies and the basketball season that you want to have for your senior season, let's just talk about your commitment first to the Dragons. What made MSUM just stand out and be a really good fit for you, both on the basketball court and academically as well?
I just really liked hanging out with the girls, and when I went on my visit, it just felt like a really good fit for me. So, yeah.
And able to play somewhere, I know it's been well documented, that's where your mom played as well, and she is your coach. So was there a lot of rubbing in the right way? I mean, ribbing in the right way to say, hey, you should go over here? Or was it, hey, it's your decision whether you go play basketball or not at the next level. Take it just kind of through the family dynamic a little bit there, Ashton.
I mean, a little bit, yes, but I mean, I could have gone anywhere and they would have been supportive, but also just being close to home was a little bit of a push, I guess.
And to have your sister too as well, Taylor Overack and Cordia. Do you hope to have a couple of games between you two before both of your college days are done?
Yeah, I hope so.
As you kind of take a look at this one, Ashton, how fun is it to kind of now have the college commitment behind you and just kind of focus on the rest of your senior season that you have, whether it's on the basketball court, track, or anything else?
Yeah, it's really nice because I can just like focus on school and our high school season, and I don't really have to think about that. So it's nice to just like get that over with.
As you take a look at your senior year here for basketball, just what's a team goal? Just give us one or two expectations that you have coming into this season here, and what's something that you would like to accomplish with this new, 3-class basketball system in North Dakota.
I think our team has big expectations. We didn't really end the season the way we wanted to last year, so we really want to come in, win EDC, and I mean, I think everybody would want to win a state championship. So some big goals for us.
As a senior too here, is there a particular number that you're getting a little bit closer to in terms of career numbers, or a particular school record that you would like to break, or is there a particular individual accomplishment that you would like to have this season here, Ashton?
Obviously, like I want to play good, but I just really care about winning and playing with my team.
For you, a favorite sports memory of all time, is it something that comes to basketball, something as you as a fan or playing on the court? What's a favorite sports memory or two that comes to mind for you, Ashton?
I guess nothing really specific, just honestly hanging out with my teammates. Basketball or track wouldn't be the same without the people that are on the team with me. So just hanging out with my teammates and being at practice with them every day.
How has track helped you in basketball with some of different sports or some of the things that you do in track? How has that kind of helped you get from one side of the court to the other side of the court, so to speak, Ashton?
Yeah, it's helped a lot. Just with my quickness, speed, agility, and I think they both kind of go hand in hand. Basketball also helps track and vice versa. So I think having that second sport really helps me.
As you take a look a little bit here for Fargo Davies, how fun is it to see this team continue to grow the last couple of years that you've been on the court? I know the expectations are always to win an EDC championship, as you mentioned, try to get to state, but how fun has the last couple of years been it for you, Ashton, just seeing the success that you had at Fargo Davies?
Yeah, it's been great. Like I said, just love my teammates, and so it's really easy to be happy for them and us as a whole, when we do good.
Is there any superstitions that come to mind? Do you have to listen to certain music, have a certain, sub sandwich before you get to, an opening tip? Any superstitions that come to mind, Ashton?
Honestly, not really. I don't have any.
And then how much are you guys talking basketball in your family? I mean, obviously on the court during practices with your older sister when she was there at Fargo Davies. Do you still keep in contact with your sister, your mom as a coach? Are you guys talking basketball just in general, at the family dinner table, so to speak, almost every night?
Yeah, all the time we're talking.
What's the one thing that your mom preaches most, whether it's for you as the daughter perspective or you as the, player perspective here? What's the one thing she just wants to preach the most when it comes to basketball in terms of what she wants you to, just enjoy the game? Or is it something about, taking care of the ball? What comes to mind when you're talking with her?
Probably just leadership, honestly. Being like the leader out on practice, setting a good example, working hard. Yeah, I would say just being a good leader.
And final thing for you, Ashton, what are you most looking forward to outside of sports here for your senior year at Fargo Davies? Is there a particular class? Is it, let's just get to graduation day? Maybe the senioritis has already set in. What are you looking forward to most here during your senior year?
Yeah, graduation, but ready to enjoy this last season. So,
Ashton, thanks so much for your time and best of luck here for the Fargo Davies throughout the year.
Thank you.
Hey growers, when working on your water management solutions, call Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. They are your water management contractor, helping you with tile drainage plans, service drainage plans, or both. Remember, water management is a lifetime investment. Call Chad 701-430-0182 to get your water problem solved. For more information, follow Chad's Excavating on Facebook. For tile drainage and service plans, call 701-430-0182. Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Do you want that new boat? Are you building onto your home? Maybe you want the new camper or ATV. Dakota Heritage Bank can help you. This is Dustin Nagel, president at Dakota Heritage Bank Hillsboro location. You can visit with me or our other loan officers to help with loans and lines of credit from Dakota Heritage Bank. We are serving you with locations in North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Dakota Heritage Bank offers financial services you expect with a local perspective. dhbanknd.com. Dakota Heritage Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
There's more at 104. Hillsboro, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsboro and see why there's more at 104.
As we continue on our Coaches Show, a couple of AA Division boys basketball conversations. Travis Hoeg from the Fargo North Spartans is coming up, but here's our one-on-one with West Fargo Sheyenne boys basketball head coach Tim Brandt. As we turn our attention now to AA basketball here in the state of North Dakota, joining us from West Fargo Sheyenne, that is their head coach in Tim Brandt, and off to a 4-2 start to this season. They have the Jamestown Blue Jays coming up during the holiday break, then really get back in the swing of things in 2024. Tim, a 4-2 starter, as we mentioned, he played some really good teams, a lot of non-conference competition early on in the year as well, and those 2 losses just by a combined 7 points, which means you're there in every one of your games so far through six meetings. What have you liked best early on in the season about the new version of the 2023-24 version of the Mustangs here, Tim?
Yeah, you mentioned the 2 losses by a combined 7. I like our competitiveness. I like how we compete. Those first two games of the season, you look at the schedule, and we opened up with Bismarck High and Minot High. You see that right away, and you're like, man, this is going to be a test. But that's kind of what you want right away. See where you're at. And see how you stack up against some really, really good programs in the state. A couple of teams from out west that you don't normally see unless it's in a state tournament. But yeah, I like how we compete. That first Friday against Bismarck High, tie game at halftime, and with the way they play, they press you the whole game and they try to speed you up, and it can be a bit of a roller coaster. And I thought we played pretty well, but like I said, it was tied at halftime, and we turned it over a few times to start the second half, and we got down 9 like that. And our guys kind of stayed with it and battled back, and we ended up winning by 6. The next night it was sort of the same situation against Minot. We were, I think, down 3 at halftime, got down 13 at one point in the second half, and battled back, cut it to 1, had to foul, and had a 3 in the air at the buzzer to tie it. So our guys, they fight, they don't give up. They battle, they understand that they're never out of it. And that's kind of what I'm seeing early with this group. They're coachable. They work hard. They're going to compete. They're going to fight to the buzzer. So it's a good group to be around.
As a coach, how much fun is it to not have to worry about 2-point games in December or have a double round robin in the EDC? Now that there is 9 in the West, 9 in the East, you get a little bit more flexibility in the non-conference. We've seen Bismarck Century go to Wyoming. We've seen some other teams making their way down to Minneapolis, St. Paul. You guys have gone on to say, hey, let's play WDA competition because it's a squad that we might see at a state tournament if you get there in March. How much fun is it for a coach to maybe switch things up a little bit compared to what we have been in prior years, which is you get Moorhead or you get a Mandan and that's it, and then everything else is conference play? Yeah,
I think our non-conference the last 4 years has been Mandan, just going out there, them coming out here. But it's nice, it balances the competition a little bit. As we talked off air, I think we leave town 3 times this year. We go to Grand Forks twice for Central and Red River, and our only non-conference that's out of town is Legacy. So from a travel standpoint, it's awesome. We don't have the Wahpeton, Valley City, or Devil's Lake trip anymore. So that selfishly, that's very nice, not having those road trips. But you mentioned having those 5 non-conference games. Some teams go down to Sioux Falls. There's a few East teams that go do the holiday tournament in St. Cloud, but I wanted to get 5 games against teams that we could potentially see in March. If we make it that far. So that was kind of the goal there. And that's something I've always wanted to do. If we ever got the opportunity to do that, I wanted to get more West games in. And you mentioned 2-point games, not to have that, where there's the potential of, getting 2 check marks in the loss column with 1 game. If we can get rid of that, that's nice. And I know last year it was sort of a, luck of the draw, depending on who you're going to get for 2-point games. If we can get that off our schedule, I think that's really nice.
Let's go on the individual side. Obviously, Tommy Oneman right now with double per game, 21 points, 11 rebounds. We'll start with him. What have you liked most about Tommy's play 6 games through the season?
Well, 6'9". I mean, that's not something you can coach. That's something that people always say you can't coach height. And especially skilled height, he's not just a 6'9" stiff out there. He's a good basketball player. He's got great footwork. He's got soft touch around the rim. He's equally as good with his left hand as he is with his right hand. I know he's right-handed, but he does some stuff left-handed, throws left-handed or swings a golf club or a bat left-handed. He's equally as good with both hands, and it's really, really impressive to watch. So not only that, he can stretch it out to the 3 and shoot it too. There's not many 6'9" true post players that can hit a 3-pointer if they're open. So he can definitely do that, and he's a tough matchup. We've seen it every single game this year where it's guys they got to front him, they got to have backside help. We stick a bunch of shooters on the floor too. We got 2 guys on our team right now that are shooting over 50% from the 3-point line. When you can surround a 6'9" skilled post player with those types of shooters, it's trouble. I don't care who you are, and I don't care how you guard them. You're gonna have problems with it. So just having that presence in the middle that people have to really focus on, it makes for a tough matchup for anybody.
I think some people might say, well, they remember the Jaheim Leaks of the world, the Monies of the world, some of those kind of players. Does he have any semblance of some of the really good post players that's came through, Cheyenne program history in the last 5 years? Does he remind you of anyone?
For sure. He definitely reminds me of those guys. And just from a standpoint of having to game plan for a specific player. Those guys are obviously great players. Jaheim and Jackson are great players. You see what Jackson's doing down at Northern State. He's a phenomenal basketball player. And Tommy's right there, and the good part about it is you brought up his averages. He's 21 and 11 or something like that. And he's got a whole nother year left. We're early in his junior season. He's only going to get better. The steps that he's made from the start of his sophomore year to now are massive, and he's only going to keep taking those steps, and he's only going to keep getting better. So it's, having a guy like that with that size, that skill set, and the fact that he's got a whole nother year and a half left to play, you can't take that for granted. It's pretty awesome.
And you mentioned the 3-point line. John Angau has, 19 threes so far here on the season, averaging, up in those high teens as well, that 16, 17 mark so far. And to your point, when you got a post player who can do that, and you add some shooters that Cheyenne has had over the years here with that varsity program, what does John impact the game outside of just obviously his ability to put the ball in from the hoop from 20, 22, 25 feet when he can let one fly? Yeah,
and you mentioned he has 19 threes. That's on 30 attempts, so he's shooting 63% from the 3-point line. The guy, and he's always been able to do that. Ever since I've known him, I taught him in middle school when I taught at the middle school. He's always been able to shoot the ball. The thing that he's really developed the last couple of years is athleticism and his strength. He takes the weight room seriously. So he's gotten a lot stronger. He's lengthened out. He's more athletic. And outside of shooting, he's a leader. He competes. He wants to compete. He communicates. And he wants to be a really, really good basketball player. So he works hard at it. He has goals. He wants to be a college basketball player. So he takes that seriously. Obviously when you can shoot that well, that's going to pose a problem for a lot of people, but the athleticism he's developed over the last couple of years makes him even more difficult to guard because he can get by guys and get to the rim as well.
As you see this roster here, Tim, 7 seniors on your roster, which I immediately go, okay, there's only 5 starters, right? Then you add in a sophomore, a junior, maybe there's a freshman who's really good that, is knocking on the door for varsity minutes. How much do you talk about your role within teams every year, whether you have 1 senior, 10 juniors, 7 seniors, 3 juniors out, because not everyone's going to get their hand on the basketball. You might only get to play for 5 minutes. You might be a guy that goes out there and say, hey, just be a disruptor. I want you to guard the best player and just, make his life a living, for the 5 minutes that you're on the floor. How do you talk about roles and just, every year when you transition from a new team?
Yeah, it's always a constant conversation, and it's always evolving too. I mean, you think how things are going to go at the start of the season. You're around these. I've been around these kids for 4 years now. You kind of always, you have a feel for it. You kind of understand, or you think you understand how guys are going to fit in or what their roles are going to be, but things change, even throughout the year, they change, from the beginning of the season, Thanksgiving weekend to now. Things look a little different. Maybe you think somebody's going to fit into a role and they might be better at something else. So it's always a constant conversation. Things are always evolving and changing. But it's just you always have to communicate those things to kids. Pull them in, have meetings, talk about things. What something may have looked like a month ago might look a little different now. So yeah, like you mentioned, younger kids too, they get better throughout the season, and their role might change. You might have a kid that's playing freshman or sophomore that's looks pretty good and he's kind of dominating at that level. Well, it might be time to pull them up and get them some experience against some older kids and get them better that way. So like I said, it's just something that's constantly changing, and it's just, having that communication with kids is important.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have when you have that many kids coming out for the program, obviously, Tim. Sure. Final thing for you here, just, 6 games in, you kind of alluded to it earlier, but what's one trait, what's a characteristic or two that you want to see from this team through 6 games throughout? Once you get kind of through the holiday break, you play that one game with Jamestown and kind of get to that, stretch dog day run of January before all of a sudden postseason play comes around the door in March. What's a trait or two that you want to see from this team continue throughout the season?
Just keeping our competitiveness up and high. We're once we get through this break, we gotta refocus a little bit and make sure that we're ready for the stretch run. Once you get through January into the dog days of February a little bit, it gets to kind of be a little bit of a grind, and that's where guys start to slip a little. But we have goals. We have our goals. We got to stay focused on those. Our guys understand what our goals are, and we just got to stay focused on that, take it one day at a time, get better every single day, and compete. We gotta compete with every single team we play. Like I talked about earlier, there's not going to be any nights off in our league this year. So whoever you walk on the floor with, you got to understand that they want to beat you as bad as you want to beat them. So you got to bring it for 36 minutes, and that's something we've kind of seen here a little bit earlier, where I feel like at times our guys feel like they kind of got things handled and maybe they take their foot off the gas a little bit. It's got to be a full 36. And that's something we talk about every single day too, where, we saw when we played Bismarck High, we saw when we played Minot, we were down in both those games. We battled back. Teams are going to do that to us too, especially when you've had the success that we've had over the last handful of years. We're going to get everybody's best shot every single night. So you got to compete. And that's the biggest thing. We got to compete every single night.
Tim, thanks so much for your time. Happy holidays to you and your family, and look forward to seeing you sometime soon at a basketball court.
Thanks, Chase. You too.
That again, Tim Brandt, head coach of the West Fargo Sheyenne Mustangs, will continue on our Coaches Show after this.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsboro, North Dakota. The Hillsboro Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
Well, joining us now from the AA division, that is the Fargo North Spartans boys basketball head coach Travis Hoeg here. A nice start to this season, 6-0 before they get a couple of non-conference games with St. Cloud Tech and Chaplin Park, then back into the thick of things in 2024 with the Fargo Davies Eagles. Travis, 6-0 on the season. You got to love, obviously, the record, but also one thing that stands out to me is you played in those 6 games, 5 of them have been single-digit wins as well, and sometimes finding ways to win close games is the difference, as you know, winning a championship or being on the short end of the stick. So what is it about this year's team that's found ways to win those, close games early on in the year here, Travis?
For us, I think I give credit to our senior class. We're loaded with depth this year. I kept 9 seniors. Actually, I think I kept 10 seniors. No, 9. I kept 10 seniors on the squad, 10 or 11 seniors on the squad, I think. So I'm just loaded with seniors, guys that have a ton of experience. And I feel very fortunate. I get that question a lot with close games, and with this crew that I've got this year as seniors, I just really feel that, when it comes down to crunch time, they're going to be able to handle close games. They're going to know how to compete, how to finish games. And they've kind of showed that in the first 6 games here. Like you said, we've had some close games. We had a buzzer beater where Zeller had a buzzer beater against Mandan. So I give credit to those guys and the experience that they have playing for the Spartan program, and them just showing a lot of really good senior leadership for us.
I know this is probably a question that you have been asked a lot too, right? So what does this team bring back from the championship team from a year ago? But I know it's kind of a two-parter. You got the experience to play in those big games, to play in front of the state, but also it's a brand new season. What you did last year really doesn't impact maybe what you did this year outside of maybe that experience coming back and playing in those big games. So I guess to leave it to you, Travis, what can you take from last year's run? Or is it truthfully, it's a whole new season, even if we are bringing back a good core nucleus bench starters from last year?
I think the one thing that we'll bring back from last season throughout the EDC and state tournament is just the experience of playing in big games with a lot of fans, a loud environment, a lot of excitement, and just being able to dial in and really play, I guess I call it high fundamental basketball, just making right decisions and doing the right things all the time. And that's what this team was able to do last year. They haven't quite figured that out to start the season. I'm looking at stats after every game, looking at cumulative stats and things like that. And one area that we are consistently talking about after every game is just the turnovers, right? Like that's an area we've got to get better at if we're going to want to compete at the EDC and state tournament again this year. And these guys are getting a little bit better every day. We talk about just trying to get 1% better every single day at practice, and taking it game by game. And just kind of really trying to buy into the process of what our schematics are offensively and defensively. So, the experience is great, but it is a new year. And, I've got new guys stepping up for the program and getting some playing time that didn't necessarily get a lot last year. And so that's good for those guys as well. So I'm excited about where we're at, but we still have a long way to go with where we need to be by the time March comes around.
Having so many seniors is a blessing, but I know some people will say, Travis, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough basketballs to get everybody, in the game and stuff of that nature. So as a coach, whether it's a freshman all the way up through a senior, how do you go out one-on-one in terms of defining roles? Because every year someone's different. Someone might go out with an injury or sickness, then a new player, gets vaulted into the starting lineup. So how do you go about defining roles throughout the year here, especially with that big senior class that you have this season, Travis?
That's something we discussed a lot at the beginning of the season. Everybody kind of knows the role of Carter and like a Jeremiah and maybe a Matthew Sem. They're kind of the guys that were kind of scorers for us a lot last year. And I just said to them, hey, everybody's got a niche. Everybody can find a role in this team, whether you're going to be the guy that dives on the floor and gets the 50-50 balls, or you're going to be the guy that will accept and take charges because you're not scared to take a charge, or you're going to be the guy that's going to lock down the other team's best defender. I mean, basketball is so much more than scoring, and I think a lot of fans and players kind of get caught up in the scoring, when people want to look at stats right away. That's actually the last thing that I look at. I'm looking at deflections. I'm looking at charge attempt takes, steals, and then when I'm watching film, I'm looking at, one-on-one matches matchups? Are my guys winning their one-on-one matchups? Are they getting blown by on the first dribble? For me, that's really the focus. So just to tell the guys, it's more than scoring. I value defense way more than offense. To me, offense comes easy, especially if you put the work in the off season and you've worked at your ball handling, you worked at your shooting, you've worked at your finishing around the rim. But I really try to reward and value and recognize guys that are doing the job on the defensive end as well. So, that's huge for me. And I try to incorporate that into a lot of the discussions that we have in our huddles or at practice and things like that.
And that maybe leads me to my next question, talking about some individuals. Eric DeBoer, how does he kind of fit into what you just said there, Travis, being a Spartan this season?
Yeah, Eric's done a great job in the offseason. Last year for us, he played some big minutes for us in the state championship game. And, he's a little, not undersized height-wise, but he was a little kind of lightweight. He was easy to push around a little bit last year as a sophomore. Over the summer, he put a ton of work into the weight room. I think when I asked him, he told me, because I the first time I saw him at open gym, I was like, dude, you look like you put on a little weight, like good weight, not bad weight. And he kind of smiled at me. I said, you've been in the weight room, haven't you? And he said, yeah. I said, how much weight have you put on? He said, 20 pounds. And so you're really able to see that. If you've watched him at all this year, he's not a guy that's getting pushed around a lot. In fact, he's starting to institute a lot of force onto other defenders and being able to push them around. So the work that he's done in the offseason for us has been tremendous, and it's really showing on the floor for him this year. He's been first 5 games here now, he's been just tremendous for us, not only in the scoring, but being a leader on the rebounding for us as well, and just doing a great job for us. I've been super proud of him so far.
And then we've seen Carter Zeller obviously have the ability, right? A couple of years ago in Valley City, felt like he scored 1,000 points in that game, got to the free throw line a ton, but he finds ways to impact the game even if he doesn't need to score, in terms of deflections, in terms of rebounds, what you were kind of alluding to earlier. So how does Carter, with that experience as a senior kind of floor captain, if you will, Travis, what does he provide this year to the Spartan Club?
Yeah, I tell you one thing, silent leadership. That guy, I tell you what, he's one of the most humble, most charismatic guys that we've had come through our program in a long time. And he just does it he leads by action, right? Like just his body language, his silence, humbleness. And you will see him get a little excited at times. I think last night I don't know if it was a block or he took a charge or something. He got up and he was real excited. And when he gets like that, man, the kids just feed off of it. His teammates love it. But, he brings other things too. A lot of things, one thing that a lot of people don't know about him is he's one heck of a guarder out on the perimeter. He can really play defense out on the perimeter. A lot of people think that he's just strictly a post player, but man, he can really defend on the perimeter. And when coaches think they have a mismatch on him on the perimeter, it's not necessarily a mismatch. He does a nice job of staying in front of the little guards and getting his hand up and trying to not necessarily maybe get blocks, but really contest jumpers and outside shooting as well. So he does a tremendous job for us. And just another kid I'm just so grateful to be able to coach and have in our program.
One thing I noticed, Travis, 2 more things for you, at least from a box score standpoint in the EDC this year. I know there's only 9 teams, but I tell you what, any given night is that old adage, it kind of feels like right now. And I know you had a really good game with Grand Forks Central earlier, who nearly went on the road and pushed a Fargo Davies team. You look at Fargo Sheyenne, sure, they might only have 1 win, but they pick off South, who just picked off Sheyenne. West Fargo went 0-3, they're 3. So you just can see it here. How competitive is it going to be? And we're only in December, for crying out loud. We still got 2 more months left of the regular season.
Yeah, man, I've been telling everybody, everybody's been telling me, it's you guys are going to blow through the EDC and win another state championship. You got everybody coming back. And I'm like, heck no, man, no way. There's some good teams out here. Everybody forgets, and like you said, Central, in my mind, Central, Cheyenne, Davies. When we play those guys, you got to be playing great basketball to get the win. They're great teams, and they put great people on the floor, and they play hard, and they defend, and they're physical. And then, there's some other teams like Shanley had a big win last night over South. And then, I think Adam over at West Fargo, he'll have his guys clicking, by the end of the season. And there's just so much parity in the EDC, and it's a very competitive league. And like you said, any given night, I know it's a football term, but I'm using it in basketball in the EDC this year too. Any given night, a top team could go down for sure.
Yeah, we're seeing that with some of the box scores, and don't count out a Kirby's team up at Red River. I mean, name your squad.
Not.
Horace with what they're doing. Name your squad. Yeah. Everyone's going to be very interesting this season, right, Travis?
Horace has got shooters everywhere. That's a nightmare for any team.
Final thing for you, Travis, before you let you go. What do you want to instill in the guys in the program, through the freshmen all the way up, through the varsity? I know you teach at the middle school and get that a rowdy crowd junior side, coming to games and everything else. But what do you hope that guys take from this program, whether they go on to play at the collegiate basketball, football, cross country, just go on, to better their lives? What do you hope they take away, whether they're 5 years in the varsity program, 1 year in the varsity program, whatever it is, Travis, as they kind of go through your system?
Sure. One thing that we try to pride ourselves on, and it's in our purpose statement for our program, is just that, this sport that I get to coach and my guys get to play, it brings a lot of adversity throughout the season. I talk about it's like a roller coaster. You have highs and lows, all through the season. And so they're constantly facing adversity, and maybe that's a nagging injury, or it's a major injury, or maybe it's your role isn't quite what you want it to be. And so for us, it's that adversity, being able to persevere, being able to be a great teammate, take all those things that we can learn from this sport. And then we also always talk about character. I want high character guys playing for me, and we're constantly talking about that as well. And so when the guys leave my program, I'm hoping that they're better human beings. They go out into their communities that they're going to eventually be living in, and they're going to be high contributors to their communities, whether that's with their job or whether they're doing outreach stuff or raising their own families, things like that. That's my ultimate goal. Basketball is a game. We play it to have fun, but we hope these kids learn bigger life lessons playing the game that they can apply to their lives as adults.
Travis, thanks so much for your time. Happy holidays. Best of luck again with Champlain Park and St. Cloud Tech coming up around the corner, and best of luck in 2024 once you kind of get to the grind of the EDC.
All right. I appreciate you having me on, and it's always good chatting with you.
Travis
Happy holidays to you and yours as well.
Travis Hoeg, head coach of the Fargo North Spartans, will continue on our Coaches Show after this.
Here's Trail District Health Unit Director Brenda Stallman with some holiday health tips.
We're looking at a lot of family and friends gathering, and with that comes more food and alcohol, and we want people to exercise moderation, of course, with those activities, and at the same time keep check with their mental health. Sometimes the added activities to our schedules and the kids' activities brings a little bit more stress to our life, so a reminder to pace yourselves and enjoy what the season has to offer.
Happy holidays from Brenda, Kelly, and Chris at Trail District Health Unit.
Bank of North Dakota wants you to be confident when it's time to make student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident to calculate the maximum amount of student loan debt that is recommended based on your career choice. You can also learn how to apply for financial aid and get tips to cut education expenses. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident today.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one, American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
And earlier in the week, the Hillsboro-Central Valley girls basketball team squared off with the Carrington Cardinals. Our own Kevin Kochman had an opportunity to sit down with Duane Connell from the Hillsboro-Central Valley girls basketball team.
Back here on the postgame report on YourLiveEvent.com, Dakota Heritage Bank postgame coaches' comments. It is Carrington, a 68-31 win over Hillsboro-Central Valley tonight. As get a chance to visit with Duane Connell, head coach of Hillsboro-Central Valley, after this one. And, Coach, I know we talked about turnovers. I talked about that with Coach Broughton, too, in the pregame, just how important that would be in a matchup like tonight. Early on, just a lot of turnovers kind of got the Burros in a bug. First quarter scoring just wasn't there. Big hole. Continued fight. Carrington got the best of you tonight, but kids certainly played passionately, I thought, throughout much of the evening.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been doing that. That's not a surprise at this point. Carrington, that's probably the best team that we faced so far this year. Any Class A schools that we faced this year, we've competed, we've worked as hard as we can, but they really haven't been close contests. So we're not where we need to be, and it's something that's going to take a long time to get there.
Well, yeah, and from what I've seen on coverage throughout the season, plus then seeing it in person, and I think both teams tonight, you both had a lot of players play, JV and varsity, right? That dressing 11 on both sides. I think too, just seeing your girls, you've got that youth that's there. You can see that they have what they have the makings. It's just a matter of it's got to come together.
Well, yeah, that's just it. We're young, so it's just going to take time. It's a reason why some of these varsity girls that we play them a few quarters here and there in the JV games, just because we need to get them 6 quarters every single night, just so they get that experience and know what it's like. In any kind of different game situations.
Well, I think tonight, too, there were stretches in that third quarter. I thought they came to life. Fourth quarter, you saw that, and there was some energy that came off the bench there late in the game, too, which was certainly nice to see.
Yeah, they come out in the second half. Again, we could have laid down and just said, this is over. There's nothing we can do about it. But they came back and fought a little bit. Telling the girls in the locker room afterwards, I could tell that Carrington, they're in very good shape. They condition hard. You can tell that. We had been starting that, and then we got, not really an excuse, but a few girls got sick, so I had kind of backed off a little bit, just because they looked worn out. So I had to give them a little bit of a break. But we'll have a little bit of stretch after the Larimore game, a Christmas break, to get back to it, get back to hard conditioning and practices, and hopefully that we start to do a lot of positive things here in the second half of the season.
There's always a wave. So, you're going to run into that sickness wave at some point. I know Carrington's running through it. I think Coach said 67 in their school out yesterday. So you see it too. It's just that time of the year. So do what you can, fight through it, battle through it, grow, and like you say, after the break, certainly looking forward to seeing what this team can make of the season.
Yeah, like I said, it's the girls, as they continue to play together, as they continue to have that good work ethic and work hard, it'll keep us in games, just as far as, keeping our legs in there, moving our feet and stuff like that if we stay in top shape. Like I said, making the baskets, not turning the ball over, those things are going to take time. But like I said, as long as we work hard, we'll get there sooner or later.
You're a competitive guy, and like anything, if you're going to coach, you're going to coach, and you want to see the results. And sometimes we're not as patient as we would like to be. Are you having some fun working with this crew? Because it looks like they're having some fun out there playing.
Yeah, this is probably the one game that I didn't have the most fun with.
Okay.
Just because it wasn't our best performance, and like I said, Carrington is a very good team, and I knew that going in. But yeah, no, they've been a great crew. Every practice they work hard, and I know they're not trying to make the mistakes. It's just something that we do have to fix. But like I said, I push them hard. I push them hard in practice. I push them hard in games, and they don't back down. They don't put their head down. They don't start crying saying I can't do this. They just keep fighting, and that's one great thing about this crew that I'm encouraged to continue to coach them moving forward.
Duane, certainly appreciate the time. Best of luck to you and the team. I know you gear up for one more here before break with Larimore, and should be a contest for everybody to get excited about here on Thursday night.
Yeah, hopefully we have a good crowd. I know the girls are looking forward to it. Get back to playing some good basketball. So, again, we'll just come in and work hard again and see what happens.
Duane, thanks for the time. Congrats on the effort. Good luck as you keep things rolling.
All right, thank you very much.
You got it. Duane Connell, head coach of the Hillsboro-Central Valley Borough Girls.
That does it for this week's edition of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and make sure you join us again as we wrap up the 2023 portion coming up next week on Wednesday night, starting at 7. Enjoy the rest of your holidays.